Hello wannabe mechanics, in this video we will show you how to replace the DSG oil on a 2018 Volkswagen Tiguan 2.0 TDI 4Motion 190 horsepower. This vehicle is equipped with the OBH DQ500 wet clutch transmission. Essentially, the DQ500 is an upgraded DQ250. Still using wet clutch technology, it is a 7-speed transmission that is rated for much larger loads than its sibling. As such, it was made for larger vehicles like Volkswagen Transporters and Audi Q3, as well as some of the more powerful smaller cars such as the Audi TT RS. The DSG 500 is a 7-speed transverse DSG with a wet clutch pack and a torque capacity of 600 Nm. This operation is a bit more tricky than the one we did on the DSG 6, as you will see, because the oil filter is hidden under the left coolant pipe and the charge air pipe. However, if you follow the steps shown in this video, you will be able to do it yourselves without any risks involved for you or your vehicle. Don't go anywhere guys, meet you back in the shop right after our short intro. The tools you will be needing for this operation are a T20 Torx and a 13mm socket to remove the splash shield, a T30 Torx with a flexible extender and a 7mm socket to remove the pipes, two flat-end screwdrivers and a ratchet wrench, a 24mm socket for the cap on the oil filter housing with an adapter, a torque wrench to apply the recommended torque to the drain plugs and the oil filter's housing cap, a brake cleaner spray to remove the oil spills, a 13mm socket for the DSG oil drain plug, an M8 for the mechatronic oil drain plug. Use the torque wrench to apply the torque of 45 Nm for the DSG oil drain plug and 20 Nm for the mechatronic oil drain plug. A pair of color clamp pliers, the hose with a bottle feeding adapter at one end, and the 24 by 1.5 drain port adapter at the other end. And of course 6 liters of new DSG oil and the new oil filter. Okay guys, let's get started. Go under the car and remove the splash shield using the T20 and the 13mm socket. In the workshop manual for this car, it says that step number 1 is removing the air filter and then the coolant pipe and air charge pipe. First, remove the connector from the mass airflow sensor and the air injection hose coupler. Release the spring clamp on the intake hose and remove the hose. Remove the hot air hose from under the air filter housing. Remove the two screws of the plastic cap from the air intake manifold. Now you can take out the pod that connects the manifold to the air filter housing. There are 3 mounting clips holding the air filter housing as shown. This is the first one. This is the second one. Pull the air filter housing upwards and it will snap off. And here is the third mounting clip right under the air filter's housing. Move the small hot air intake hose. You now need to remove the small bolt on the mounting bracket of the air intake. Here's a better close-up on that bolt before we thread it back in. Remove the crankcase ventilation tube. Rotate the intake clockwise and then pull it out. Remove the wiring and the connectors from the intake. And now you can pull it out. And we still cannot reach the filter's housing. Important note: insert clean cloths into all tube openings. You don't want to accidentally drop something inside, and also this way you avoid any dirt from getting in. Remove the hot air intake hose. Remove the connector from the water temperature sensor. Loosen up the bolt on the color clamp using the flexible extender. Remove the bolt on the mount holding the coolant pipe. Remove the two bolts from the other end of the coolant pipe. The second bolt is reachable only from under the car. Loosen up the end color clamp. Use a plastic tool to release the hose and then wiggle it to get it out. Only now you have direct access to the oil filter housing. Checking the notes about the oil filter. Use the 24mm socket to loosen up the plastic cap of the oil filter's housing. Remove the cap and then the oil filter. Use any available suction tool to remove the old oil out of the oil filter housing. Do not use gloves as the fibers may contaminate the oil. Grease the inner O-ring of the new filter with some DSG oil and insert it in the housing without touching the micron filter area. You should hear a popping sound when it's in place. Thread the cap back on and tighten it up to 20 Nm. This was the first DSG oil change for this car, so we didn't change the O-ring on the cap or the seals on the drain plugs. Keep in mind that if you expect the O-ring and the drain plug seals to be worn out, you will have to order them independently as they do not come with the DSG oil filter. Spray down plenty of brake cleaner to clean any oil spills and then wait for it to dry or just use compressed air for a fast dry out. Now in fast forward, all operations in reverse. Place the coolant pipe back in place. Tighten the collar clamp. Tighten the bolt on the mounting bracket. Tighten the two bolts from the end of the coolant pipe. Connect the water temperature sensor. the hot air intake tube, put the air intake manifold back in, spin it counterclockwise to fix it in place, tighten the mounting bolt, attach the connectors, the wiring and the crankcase ventilation tube. Insert the short hot air intake hose, do a bit of cleaning, and then you can place the air filter housing back in. Place the spring collar back on. Reconnect the mass airflow sensor and the air injection hose coupler. Place the connecting plastic component back in. And don't forget to reconnect the short air intake hose back to the air filter's housing. Put the plastic cap back onto the intake manifold, tighten the two bolts and the hard part is over. Don't forget to put the engine cover back on. This is where the DSG oil drain plug is situated. You can find the transmission's code here. and also here. And here you will find the mechatronic drain plug. About 1.2 liters of oil should come out according to the workshop manual. Before releasing the oil, make sure the oil temperature is under 45 degrees Celsius. We checked the oil temperature, it was 46 degrees, so we waited until it cooled off. The gearbox oil temperature should be between 35 and 45 degrees Celsius. Under the car we used a drain bucket instead of the waste oil recuperator to show you the amount of oil that came out. Use the 14mm socket to loosen up the DSG drain plug. Place the container under the drain plug and remove it by hand. Not all the oil will drain before you take out the inner drain pipe. When the oil starts dripping, remove the oil level pipe and wait for all the oil to drain. After all the oil has drained, you can thread the oil level pipe back in and just tighten it by hand or up to 3 Nm. Time to remove the mechatronic oil drain plug using the M8. Thread the drain plug back in and torque it up to 20 Nm. Bring the drain port adapter under the car. Thread the adapter into the drain port. These are the mentions in the manual about the filling method and the tools you should use. Turn the first bottle upside down and let gravity do its job. A simple trick to replace compressed air. Cut an opening into the bottle and use the first bottle as a funnel. Keep pouring all the 5.5 liters of oil without letting air in the system. This way the oil will go inside as if you were using compressed air, and you do not need to close any tap between each bottle as mentioned in the manual due to the initial void inside the gearbox. Time to turn on the engine and cycle through all selector positions with 3-second pauses. While the engine is still running, go under the car and take out the adapter. When the oil starts dripping, it is time to thread the plug back in. Tighten the drain plug up to 45 Nm. Use a cloth and brake cleaner to remove any oil spills. Place the splash shield back on and you are done. As I said earlier, we are going to show you all the used DSG oil, and as we expected, we got out about 5 liters, but the manufacturer recommends using 5.5 liters probably to grease different segments of the transmission, so do as indicated in the workshop manual. Thank you very much for watching. Use the comments section for any questions or suggestions, and if you find our videos interesting, make sure you subscribe for the latest wannabe mechanic videos. Bye bye.